Thinking Out Loud. I'm Joel.
I'm Brad. Hello from Detroit.
Hello from Detroit. Here's what we got today. So, if you are a brand who has been primarily buying TV for your major brand effort, and you are seeing a decline in viewership, in response, and ROI, you know that you need to make the shift to online video where there are eyeballs. Your obvious option is YouTube. We want to talk about that today. How do you make the transition? What needs to change organizationally on your end in order to effectively make that transition? So let's first start with, why would a brand be doing this in the first place?
Yeah, so do you have cable? I don't have cable. Do you have cable?
I do not have cable, nor have I for quite some time.
And if you have cable, odds are you're over 40. It's okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But the odds are that you're older, and the younger generation simply is not willing to pay for content when there's so many options for content. So obviously YouTube, you already mentioned. People go to Netflix, go to Hulu, Amazon. There's a lot of outlets for media. But what's interesting is a lot of these platforms are completely closed now. So if you're looking to transfer dollars of ad spending from TV to Netflix, you're basically out of luck.
Yeah, you're out of luck. And Amazon Prime, same thing. You can't do that.
Right.
And AVD, Amazon Video Direct, is not a big enough player yet to really absorb significant ad dollars. So these dollars have to go somewhere. So let's assume for a second, that yes, there are a lot of options. Let's assume you want to make the shift into YouTube, which is clearly the dominant player in this space, and they're the dominant number of eyeballs, right?
Which they are. It's the largest platform out there.
So here's what we're not talking about. We're not talking about just doing pre-roll. That's fine. You can continue to do pre-roll, but we are talking to the brands who have understood that they need to get beyond just their own brand voice and their own messaging and move to something else. So we're talking about influencer marketing on YouTube, supported like a nice blanket. I don't know what I'm
It's
trying
buttressed.
Buttressed by social. So YouTube in the center, buttressed by social. So what needs to change in terms of your expectations to make this successful? What's a paradigm shift, if you will, that has to happen for a company to actually get into this and make it successful?
As with most big changes, the first and most important thing to change is a mindset. So when you are moving from TV to YouTube, you cannot be thinking in terms of TV. If you're thinking in terms of TV, you're just going to roll out a pre-roll campaign. So you're trying to do TV now on a different platform, and that's not going to be as effective as you'd like. And the reason why is that on TV, we're conditioned to leave during the commercial break to go to the bathrooms or to fast forward. Right. With pre-roll video, I mean, listen,
you can skip ahead.
You skip ahead or just zone out for 10 or 20 seconds.
The bigger picture is the thing that is pissing people off about TV and getting them to leave. Why would you want to repeat over here when they've already left that platform? We've got to do something different here.
Joel, what's the definition of insanity?
Trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Let's not do that. Your brand managers, you're incredibly intelligent people. So now that we've got the mindset in order, what is the first sort of action item that people need to think through when they're shifting from TV onto YouTube?
Again, so the first thing, and there are two ways to think about it, right, is you're moving from brand voice to now advocacy and influencer voice. The negative way to look at it is I'm losing control of my message. Right. And if you get into that mindset of I'm losing control of my message, your mindset's in the wrong place. You're in trouble because you're going to be trying to hold on and control something that frankly ought not be controlled. If you say, no, I am moving away from my brand voice to the many, and say instead, I want a credible advocate for me, and I'm going to partner with that advocate. Right. Now you've actually got something that's far more powerful. So that mindset has to be there. I'm not looking for a brand voice here. I'm looking for an advocate's voice, and I want to empower the advocate. So that's one.
New mindset, new power, right? In terms of using someone else's sphere of influence, which we talk about a lot, but it's a fundamental part of influencer marketing.
Yes. Second thing, and I want you to elaborate on this, there's a longer tail to YouTube. Why does that matter, and what does that change?
Right, so when you're thinking about content that's on a TV commercial, it's either live on TV or it's not. It basically goes away. Sure, you can record shows, but practically speaking, it's gone. Now, when you're putting something on the internet, as you're probably telling all of your children, as they're thinking about putting all sorts of crazy stuff on Facebook, is once you put content, it lives there for forever.
Yeah.
So as a brand, when you're partnering with YouTubers to put content on as part of an influencer marketing campaign, it will have a very long tail, which is excellent news in that you're going to be able to continue to have a tail of benefit from different campaigns. And so as people watch older videos, people are going to be getting impressions, and they are likely to be buying your product if it's a direct acquisition campaign that is part of it. But you also need to be aware, if you're going to have content that lives for a long time and you have a big shift in your brand strategy that's coming up, you need to really be thoughtful about that, and you need to take a more long-term view when you're using some of these more modern platforms, particularly YouTube, in comparison to TV.
And it gets back to stuff that we've talked before, is a brand needs to know why they exist and what they're about and stick to that core message that isn't going to change based on,
Right.
oh, we're now pushing this product versus this product, and here's our push this season. And yeah, the message has to be more core.
Right.
And the opportunity here is for an advocate to talk about who you are in a really, really authentic way.
Yeah.
Not just, pushing bells, whistles, and here's our latest rollout and here's our latest sale. That doesn't work, and that's not what it's about.
Yeah, there's a classic TED Talk video that explains how companies can communicate who they are, and it's why you exist, who you are, and what you do, finally. And it's really important for companies, when you're thinking about partnering with YouTube influencers, to tell that why message. Why do you exist? Why should customers care? Because that's not going to change over time, whereas your functions and features, that's of course going to evolve over time. So it's something to be thoughtful about. That's the second thing to be thoughtful about when you're switching platforms. And then the third thing is what?
It's be ready. Be ready for the increase in search. Be ready for the increase in customers, because what we're finding, and their YouTube itself has done multiple studies, but this is reinforced by external third parties, is that the search, the brand lift, the interest from an influencer campaign, when dollar for dollar is accounted for, it's 2x on YouTube than it is on TV. So you need to be ready.
Yeah.
And certainly if you have a product that you're selling that requires, that be it a long supply chain, or you've got to ramp up for where it's not, software or something that's infinitely repeatable, you got to be ready for it.
Absolutely, and we've even seen software companies have their websites crash and not be ready to scale when this happens. So if you're going to be transitioning to a platform that is going to have double the search impact on your website, which is what YouTube does, be operationally prepared for that.
Be ready for
it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, last question. How do we marry TV and influencer campaign? Because let's assume that most of our brands, you're not going to shift the entirety of your TV budget over to YouTube within a quarter. There's going to be a longer transition here, which is great because there's an opportunity within that longer transition to have what you're doing, your brand voices on TV. How can those ad dollars support and mutually reinforce each other?
Yeah, I think this is where there's an opportunity to be really creative. So if you've seen something continue to work on TV, then think about how you can take a different angle to that and get on YouTube with influencers that have credibility in that sphere of influence where you had effective campaigns on TV. So what you don't want to do is cut and paste from TV onto YouTube. That's not going to be effective. But what can be really effective is engaging a key influencer in that realm of influence. And are there any examples that come to your mind that would sort of bring this to life?
All right. Here's one. I've gone back to this example before, I think, but I just love it. Volkswagen did this amazing commercial in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, where it was tied in with new Star Wars coming out and all that, and there was a kid dressed up like Darth Vader who was going around and trying to use the Force on something, and of course the dad turns on his car right at the right, remote starts his car right at the right time as the kid is trying. So anyways, it was very cute. It was fantastic. I think it won all sorts of awards that year.
Rightfully
and
so.
It was the king of the Super Bowl commercials, right? We loved it. Wow, that's like there's something there where like there are any number of things that you could have had an influencer element to that, done by Volkswagen, sponsored by Volkswagen, branded by Volkswagen, all around that, right? So I'm thinking, you take a very large family channel or maybe even a prank channel, and you say, hey, you users, see if if your kids haven't seen this commercial, see if you can get them to do it, and it would do wonders for Darth Vader costume sales. But say like, hey, like try, do something equally, do something equally engaging. Send me the videos. I'm gonna put the best ones up on my channel. Thanks to Volkswagen for making this happen. That would be one idea. Another idea, I mean, obviously we always love the science angle of it. So, you tie in a science YouTuber to do something around the car to connect it with their content, their kids. There are any number of possible scenarios where you could tie it in. The important point is, like, tie it in. Like, don't have like, way over here in this bucket, that's our TV brand and that's our TV messaging, but way over here, this is our YouTube. No, marry these together.
Right.
Let them be symbiotic. Let the force flow, but let them live and breathe and reinforce each other. And I think that's the way that you need to go about it. So there can't, the divide between TV and digital team, like that curtain needs to come down even further, and it needs to be much more holistic. That's where I would go.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Besides let them live, breathe, and reinforce each other, I think the takeaway there is like, find a way to bring together YouTube with that traditional TV market and be creative. There's so many things you can do.
Yeah.
And what YouTube's going to allow you to do through a lot of different influencers is scale that ad even more, allow it to take on a life of its own, and that's going to be really positive for your brand. So
Good.
Look, I think we've covered a lot of ground
I think
today.
we've covered it. So that's how you make the transition. If you are a brand, you're interested, we'd love to have a conversation with you. We will throw all sorts more ideas your way, and we'll do it in an unlisted private link just for you.
And we're going to force you to be comfortable losing control of your brand a little bit, help prepare you for the longer tail associated with YouTube, and finally, we're going to make sure that you are ready for the spike in traffic that's sure to come from transitioning to YouTube.
You might lose a crumb, but you gain a loaf.
Here
You
with
can
a
use
kid-
that. You can use that. That's fine.
Or
All right.
don't.
Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Joel.
I'm Brad. Enjoy your loaf.